So this morning, we're going to talk about peace and what happens when they say peace. All right. We're going to go to the scriptures first. We're going to go to 1 Thessalonians 5 first, and then we're going to go to Yoel 3, because the one is talking about the other. 1 Thessalonians 5 is talking about Yoel 3. Verse 1, But of the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you, for you yourselves know perfectly that the day of not the Lord, but Jehovah, so comes as a thief in the night. That's the day of Jehovah's wrath. And that day is spoken of in Yoel 3 explicitly. For a while they are saying peace and safety. Then sudden destruction comes upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But you, brethren, are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. So what he is saying is, you should see this coming, probably a mile away. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you today some evidence. I've been talking about it for the last few videos, that it's kind of hard to dismiss. It really is. So we'll go into Yoel 3. In those days, in that day and time, it does not say when I shall bring again. No, it says the day and time when I bring back the captives of Yehudah and Jerusalem. I will also gather the Goi, and will bring them down into the valley of judgment. Yehoshaphat means Jehovah has judged, not the Lord has judged. In fact, from Yehovah and Shaphat, meaning Jehovah judged. It's really plain and simple. So this is Judgment Day. Okay? And will judge, Shaphat, them therefore my people, for my heritage, my possession, my inheritance, Israel, whom they have scattered among the Gentiles, Goi, and parted my land. They cast lots for my people, and give a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine, so that they might drink. Then it says, Tyre, doesn't say what do you have to do with it. It just says Tyre and Zidon and the coastland of Pelesheth, which is a territory on the South Mediterranean coast of Israel, aka Gaza. So we're talking southern Lebanon and Gaza. Are you going to render me a recompense? Well, they tried. October 7th. They tried. And if you recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head. Well, we shouldn't have to wait too long, should we? Because you took my silver and my gold, and you carried away into your temples my beautiful things, and the children of Yehudah and Jerusalem you have sold to the Greeks, that you might remove them far from their border. Look, wake up. I will raise them out of the place where you have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hands of the children of Yehuda, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people afar off, for Jehovah has spoken it. If he has spoken it, it shall be done. There is no board of peace that's going to undermine Jehovah's plan. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. All right? Okay, Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, and let all the mighty men of war draw near. Let them come. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come down, all you Gentiles, and gather yourselves together round about. Strong, mighty, to come down, to descend. So this is where the strong and the mighty of the world are going to invade Israel to stop this edict up here, where the Gazans and the Sidonians, southern Lebanon, must be deported. And as I pointed out several times in my videos, that the Israeli government has already made plans with Somaliland to deport the Gazans to Somaliland. Okay? Let the Gentiles be wakened and come to the valley of judgment, for there will I sit to judge all the Gentiles round about. Put you in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Get you down, for the press is full. Fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Jehovah is near in the valley of decision. Folks, there is no way you can misunderstand this. And yet, the entirety of the Christian and Muslim world deliberately misunderstand all of this. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. Jehovah shall roar out of Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem. And the heavens and the earth shall shake, but Jehovah will be the hope of his people and the strength of the children of Israel. It does not say the church. It says Israel. Okay? This is the day of judgment. This is the day that Paul spoke about in 1 Thessalonians 5. But what does it say? It says, for you yourselves know perfectly that the day of Jehovah so comes as a thief in the night. For when they shall say, peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall, who is they? That's the Gentiles. Because, as Paul put it in Romans 11, verse 25, when the time of the Gentiles comes to the end, all Israel shall be saved. Verse 26. That's what it says. Now, Trump unveils his Board of Peace in Davos. When was that? Yesterday? Replacement of the UN or a U.S.-led coalition of the willing? Aha! Folks, I have looked and looked and looked at Ezekiel 38. I did not trust what the translators posted. I didn't know whether the current opinion is correct, or whether I'll go there, or whether Tarshish is going to be instrumental in this invasion of Israel in Ezekiel 38. I'll show you. On the second and final day of his visit in January 20th, U.S. President Donald Trump released the Board of Peace Charter, which is part of the peace process between Israel and Hamas to end the war in Gaza. That's all the Board of Peace is about. That's it. That's it. Now, we just read in Yoel 3 that there is a dispute between Yehovah and Gaza. Tyre and Zidon as well. But Gaza. So this whole thing here, this whole Board of Peace, when they shall say peace, is about something that they have no business putting their nose in. This is Yehovah's business, as we clearly read in Yoel 3. It is not the business of the Gentiles. However, in Yoel 3, it specifically states that the Gentiles are going to try to make it their business, and they are going to receive judgment. Judgment Day is coming as a result of them inserting their nose in Yehovah's business. And who is at the top of inserting the nose into his business? It is the United States of America. The White House on January 16th named several members of the Trump administration as well as international leaders to position within the Board of Peace, which aims to provide strategic insight, mobilize international resources, and ensure accountability during Gaza's transition and reconstruction. So they're going to try to reconstruct Gaza to bring all the Israel haters in Gaza back and have them have a better life. While Yehovah's judgment is to deport them for their perpetual hatred and murder of Israel, for them scattering, joining the other Gentiles, like the Greeks and the Romans, into scattering the Jews all over the whole world. That's what's going to happen to the Gazans, regardless of whether the Board of Peace likes it or not. And it says Trump will chair the board, which will be tasked with overseeing the next phase in Gaza. Dozens of countries have been invited to join in. Okay. He said during a January 20th White House press conference, Trump said the Board of Peace might end up replacing the United Nations. Well, ain't that special? I wish the United Nations could do more. I wish we didn't need a Board of Peace, Trump told reporters. The UN just hasn't been very helpful. I'm a big fan of the UN potential, but it never has lived up to the potential. Despite criticizing the UN, Trump didn't call for dissolution of the international body. And I've listed these people before, but we'll read them off again. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Special Presidential Envoy Steve Witkoff, Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner, and former Prime Minister Tony Blair are among those tapped to serve on the executive board for the Board of Peace. Others on the executive board are private equity executive Mark Rowan, World Bank Group President A.J. Banga, and U.S. Deputy National Security Advisor Robert Gabriel. Okay? And there's a bunch more. We have 59 countries that are part of that whole peace deal, Trump said during his speech. And they want to come in and take out Hamas. They want to come in. They want to do whatever they can. There's a problem with Hezbollah in Lebanon. So what I'm trying to tell you is he is sticking his nose in Jehovah's problem-solving solution in Gaza and southern Lebanon, Hamas and Hezbollah. He's sticking his nose where it doesn't belong. Is it to actually bring peace? No, it's never to bring. This is always and always will be about making Israel's enemies great again. That's what this is about. Let's not be deceived, folks. And it even says right here, Putin might accept Trump's invitation to participate in order to avoid offending him and not lose a seat at the table. Well, it has been declared that yes, Putin is joining this board of peace. Look, Putin says Russia studying peace board proposal after Trump says he accepted the invite. Yeah, Putin has accepted the invite. Okay. Right here, Putin's potential board of peace role, a direct slap at NATO, expert warns. All right. So, but the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you, for you yourselves know perfectly that the day of Jehovah comes as a thief in the night, for that when they shall say, peace and safety, then sudden destruction shall come upon them. They are being gathered up right now to stick their nose in business where it doesn't belong. And just to give you an idea, folks, it says right here, put you in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for the wickedness is great. So let's go look in another it was a sickle in his hand. Right there. Revelation 14:14. So just in case anyone is struggling about when Jehovah is going to return with Yehoshua, the Mashiach, to save Israel, let's put all of this in clear daylight. So there's no reason to be confused. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown and a hand, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another messenger came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, thrust in your sickle and reap, for the time is come for you to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe, And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. So you think that that has something to do with Yoel 3? Put you in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Get you down, for the press is full, and the fats overflow, for the wickedness is great. You think that that doesn't have anything to do with Yoel 3? It has everything to do with Yoel 3. And another messenger came out of the temple, which is in heaven, and he had a sharp sickle. And another messenger came out from the altar, which had power over fire, and cried with a loud voice, to cry unto them which had the sharp sickle, saying, Thrust in your sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. And the messenger thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of Jehovah, not God. God is the German national pagan idol. You do not trade one name for the other. And the winepress was trodden outside the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even as unto the horses' bridles, by the space of 1,006 furlongs. It's the same event, folks. What is this event about again? It's about the nation sticking their nose in Jehovah's business concerning the removal of the Gazans and Hezbollah and deporting them. That's what it's about. Now, I had a scripture in mind. Ezekiel. Well, I was talking about Ezekiel. Now it appears we have a situation. Now it appears that Ezekiel 38 has been misunderstood. And I pointed this out 5 to 8 months ago. And I pointed it out several times. Okay? The word of not the Lord, not God, but Jehovah, came unto me, saying, Son of man, set your face against Gog. Now, Gog also means George. I've done many videos on that. In the land of Magog, it says, Rosh, the head prince of Meshech and Tubal. Well, we know that the head prince of Meshech and Tubal would be Russia. But wait, there's more. And prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith Adonai Jehovah, Behold, I am against you, O Gog, Rosh, prince of Meshech and Tubal. I will, it says, return and put hooks in your jaw. So Jehovah is going to return. This is the day of his return now. The day of his return is what? Yoel 3. He said, he will return and put hooks in your jaws, and I will bring you forth with your army and your horses. Now, here's the thing. Zeus, and indeed, they're using horses right now in Ukraine. Believe it or not, it's crazy, I know. But you can look it up and find out for you. However, there is a second meaning. So these horses are war horses, right? So these birds, from its rapid flight, are war birds. Both. Okay? And all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, a great company with buckler, shield, and all of them handling swords. Persia, Cush, North Africa with them, with shield and helmet, Gomer. Now, I have mentioned many, many times, this Gomer is Europe. Gomer is the father of Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Riphath. Is there a third one? I can't remember. Okay. But Ashkenaz is all of Western Europe, with the exception of Riphath, which is the Irish, the Scots, and and some of the French. So all of Europe, Western Europe, probably Eastern Europe as well, and even Turkey is going to be involved in this invasion. And all his bands in the house of Togarmah of the north part, and all of his bands and many people with them. Prepare yourselves and come on down. What did he say in Yoel 3? Send a message to all the Gentiles. Come on down for judgment. Now look, it says, and all your company that are assembled unto you, and you shall be a guard unto them. After abundance of days you shall be visited in the latter days, in the after part. You shall come into the land which is brought back from the sword, and gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel. This is when the two witnesses show up. Okay, folks. Now, but Henry, you said there is going to be a nuclear conflict before all of this. Folks, what I'm trying to tell you is this. I don't care what kind of a bloody war that the world gets themselves involved in against each other. When it comes to Israel, they will drop, the whole world will drop everything and come against Israel. They will join each other, bitter rival enemies, and they will come against Israel. Look at with this stupid board of peace. Look at them. Bitter rivals, bitter enemies. I'll play the video in just a minute. Which have always been waste, but is brought back from the Gentiles. And they shall dwell safely, all of them. This is after the two witnesses. This is when the two witnesses gather all the Gentiles. I do believe it's somewhere around that time. And it says, Adonai Jehovah it shall come to pass that these things will come into your mind, and you shall think an evil thought. And you shall say, I will go up. But wait a minute, I'm missing something. Oh yeah, it's down here. I will go to a land of unwalled villages. Well, the land of unwalled villages is northern Israel. Northern Israel. I will go to them that are at rest, and that dwell safely, all of them, dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates, to take a spoil, to take a prey, to turn your hand upon the desolate places which are now inhabited, upon the people that are gathered out of the Gentiles, which have gotten goods and cattle, dwell in the midst of the land. And it says, Sheba and Dedan and the merchants of Tarshish with all the young lions shall say unto you, there's no art thou in Hebrew, shall say unto you, come in and take a spoil, gather an assembly, a company to take a prey, carry away silver and gold, and take away cattle and goods, and take a great spoil. That's what it says in Hebrew. Why it's written this way in King James Version is a mystery to me. But I don't view King James Version as the truth. Okay? So, it appears now, as I pointed out 5 to 8 months ago, that Tarshish is going to, the head of this board of peace, is going to say, well, the two witnesses came in there and they did their thing. But you got to understand, folks, when you read Isaiah 60, we'll go there. When you read Isaiah 60, what you're going to made abundantly clear is that the ships of Tarshish are going to be first to bring all Israel. I'll show you right here. Then I'll go to Isaiah 66. Okay, this is when the Gentiles are overthrown, not converted, overturned. When the forces of the Gentiles come into you. All right? It says, the coastlands will wait because the ships of Tarshish will be first to bring your sons from afar. So why is that? Well, because when we go to Isaiah 66, it makes it abundantly clear that the two witnesses, or the fugitives who are sent to bring in all Israel, are behind this. Oh. Verse 19, and I will set a sign among them, and I will send those that have escaped. Fugitives is the word we're looking for. Fugitives. All right, fugitives. Unto the Gentiles, to Tarshish first. Remember, folks, Tarshish, according to Pliny the Younger, or is it Pliny the Elder? Tarshish is beyond the pillars of Heracles. And one pillar of Heracles is the Rock of Gibraltar, and the other one is in Spanish territory on the African continent. Okay, you figure out which one it is, the second one. But beyond the pillars of Heracles would be, if you're going to go straight, the United States of America. And guess where the majority of the outcasts of Israel still are? In the United States of America. So, of course, the call will be to go to them first. Okay? And they shall bring all of your brethren, but also to Pool and Lud. That would be, listen carefully, Egypt and Iraq. 3 places that the number 1 is Tarshish, 2 and 3 is Egypt and Iraq. Iraq and Syria. Because one of these is Egyptian, name of an Egyptian king. The other one is name of an Assyrian king. And the Assyrian territory covered most of Syria, what is Syria today. Those who draw the bow to Tubal and Greece and to the coastlands afar off. These coastlands is the Roman Empire. The coastlands of the Mediterranean Sea, to hear my fame, to see my glory, and they shall declare my glory to the Gentiles. And they, the 2 witnesses, shall bring all your brethren for an offering unto Jehovah out of all the Gentiles upon Sus. That means fast birds, fast horses, in chariots, in covered wagons, upon mules, upon swift beasts, to my holy mountain Jerusalem, says Jehovah, because the children of Israel will come in as an offering in a clean vessel to the house of Jehovah. And I will make them the Levites, that the whole house of Israel will be a kingdom of priests. This is when a new heaven and a new earth is promised. You see, folks. So I want to go back to Ezekiel 38 once again. What I'm trying to tell you is now, this whole narrative of the merchants of Tarshish pleading with the other nations not to do this is false. Because the merchants of Tarshish, the capitalists of Tarshish, are setting up this board of peace to gather all the Gentiles to stick their noses in Jehovah's business concerning Gaza and Hezbollah. I don't care what you've been told. Listen, for years I thought that the King James Version narrative was correct too. It's not. And what we're seeing today, right before our very eyes, proves that it's not. And I pointed out for years that the United States of America and Great Britain were the authors of the eugenics movement that Nazi Germany, used to wipe out the Jewish population. You think that the head of all of this is not going to pay a price? Chief of Nations. All right. Jeremiah 31. This is the New Covenant chapter. Okay? You might say, what do you mean that's the New Covenant? That's the Old Testament. This is what you'll say. No. This is the New Covenant chapter. I will prove it to you. Now it says right here in verse 7, for thus saith Jehovah, sing with gladness for Jacob and shout to the chief, the head of the nations. Well, who is the head of the Board of Peace? Well, you just found out it's the United States of America. Ouch. Publish, praise, and say, Jehovah, save your people, the remnant of Israel. Now, we'll go and I'll prove to you. So, announcement is going to be made to United States of America. It's going to happen this way. But we know what Tarshish is going to do now, because Tarshish is the head of this whole peace narrative. For there shall be a day when the watchmen upon Mount Ephraim shall cry, arise, and let us go to Zion unto Jehovah Elohim. That's two witnesses going to do this. The two witnesses of Revelation 11 and of Isaiah 66. For thus saith Jehovah, sing with gladness for Jacob, and shout at the head of the nations, the Gentiles. That's right, shout at them. Behold, I will bring them from the north, and gather them from the coasts of the earth, and with them the blind and the lame, and the woman with child, and her that travails with child together. A great company shall return there. What is this? This is new covenant in action. Oh, you don't believe it? Hear the word of Jehovah, you Gentiles, and declare it to the coastlands, and say, He that scattered Israel will gather him and keep him as a shepherd does his flock. This is not spiritual Israel, which word you use to deceive. No, this is literal Israel, all of them. For Jehovah, not the Lord, has redeemed Jacob and ransomed him from the hand of him that was stronger than he. Therefore, they shall come and sing in the height of Zion. That's on the Mount Zion. Okay? But let's go look down here. All right? New covenant chapter. Behold, the days come, says Jehovah, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel, with the house of Yehudah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they broke, when I was a husband unto them, says Jehovah. This shall be the covenant that I will make to the house of Israel in the after part, in the following part. Days, says Jehovah, I will put my Torah, that's what it says, in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people, and they shall teach no more every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know Jehovah, for they shall know me from the least of them unto the greatest of them, says Jehovah, for I will forgive their iniquity and will remember their sin no more. That is the new covenant. And what we just read in the chapter of Jeremiah, shout at the head of nations. This is going to happen, whether you like it or not. That's the new covenant. And Tarshish has made itself the United States of America, has made itself the head of nations. And that is why, folks, judgment is coming, harsh judgment is coming upon the whole world, including the United States of America.